Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you a drill to get the correct hip rotation in your golf swing. So we're back talking about the hips, but not so much how we're using the hips as much as how are we going to drill this movement into us so that it becomes automated. Obviously, the more often that you can make this movement and the correct movement, the more likely you're going to do it in the swing. And that means having some kind of a drill that you can probably do at home without a golf club in your hand, so that your body just basically gets used to doing this same movement every time. If any of you watched the US Open, you will have seen that Matthew Wolff has a wonderful little kind of jink that he makes with his hips before he takes the club back, and all he's really doing there is he's reminding his brain that at the start of the downswing he wants to do this. But obviously during the swing he can't be thinking about it, so that's more of a kind of a calling card for his brain. Don't forget, that's what I want you to do. For a lot of us, though, it's all about kind of building the ability to make the movement at all. And the way that you practice this is obviously very important. So I want to show you basically how you can build a hip rotation without a golf club at home. And if you do this regularly, and we're talking around about 1,800 repetitions if you've never done it like this before, over a 6 to 8 month or 6 to 8 week period, and then you should be in a position where the synapses are built and the muscles and the ligaments are all actually capable of making this movement. So the very first thing I want you to do is basically stand at shoulder width apart, get lightly in your knees as if you were going to take your address position normally. You don't have to go into the full upper body tilt at the moment. Slight knee rotation, get that trail foot at right angles to the target, the lead foot turns slightly out towards the target, and then I just want you to have the feeling of rotating your hips, staying centered as if you were kind of in a barrel here that's only a little wider than your hips, and get that rotation going. And I want you to kind of feel down into your right or your trail shoe, and you should have the feeling that as you do that, your trail knee is kind of resisting the rotation. It might straighten a little bit, but shouldn't straighten completely. And it's as if your foot is trying to twist in your shoe. So what will happen then is you'll find that you'll get kind of a little bit of more pressure on the instep of your foot, and also that your small toe will kind of press on the outside of the shoe. And I want you to have the feeling of kind of building tension in that shoe. So you've got tension in your trail shoe, and you use that tension to turn you back in the opposite direction. So it's almost like a spring. You rotate against that spring in your shoe and push away from there to get you rotating. What's actually happening then is the rotation is first rotating your trail leg and then rotating your hips. The foot is actually helping you to rotate the leg, and then obviously the muscles in your trunk, in your bum, and also your lead leg are helping you to get the hip back out of the way. So it's not really just a hip rotation that you're doing here. It's a trail leg rotation and a hip rotation, and by having splayed out the lead foot, you're able to rotate quite a long way through. So you can see here I've almost been able to rotate through 90 degrees. What I haven't done, however, is to press over into the lead foot. You can then modify that movement a little. I know if you've watched a few of my videos, we've talked about kind of tilt and turn, and what that basically means is I want you to not only rotate the pelvic or hips, I want the feeling of basically you going into a little bit of kind of a duck's bum and then rotating. So it's all kind of happening at the same time, and when you get around to this position of 90-degree rotation, and you kind of stand up in the barrel. So you're going back, getting that force in the trail shoe, twisting away from there, and at the same time going into a little bit of a kind of a duck's arse, rotating in the barrel and then standing up in the barrel. So it's going back, duck's arse, rotate, stand up. Back, rotate, stand up. Back, rotate, stand up. Once you actually find that that's working correctly, the next trick is to actually get it into a position where you're actually doing it dynamically. So first of all, it's an art Tai Chi, I suppose, where you're going through everything and making sure you're doing it correctly. We're not transferring weight here, we're transferring pressure. So you will have the feeling of more force on the trail foot, but I don't want you to have the feeling of actually sliding over it. If anything, your trail hip is moving back and slightly inwards. So it's not absolutely in the start position as you go back. But the main thing is to kind of feel this pressure inside your shoe and use that to push you back around. At the same time, tilting your bum back, getting your pelvic into what they call anterior tilt and rotating, but staying centered. And once you actually find that there's no more rotation, that's when you're kind of standing up in the barrel without pushing forward. So we're trying to stay in the middle. Then it's all about speeding it up. So if you look at Matthew Wolf's pre-shot movement, as when I'm kind of doing a forward press, he does this. And so you can see actually the speed with which he does it. He's not going, he's going boom. And this is actually what's going to give him that kind of start speed in his downswing, which is giving kind of a base speed in his hands, which will then be multiplied as he goes into the release. So we want to build this kind of speed into the lower body movement as well. So hands are back on the hips, we're turning against the right side, and then it's going into a and up, and up, and up. Turning as far around as you can without getting too straightened in the trail leg, building that tension, duck's arse round and up. Don't worry if it feels a bit jerky, and push the boundaries. How quick can you get around there? If you want to see where that is in a swing, I'd be basically up here, we go down there, and then we go into the release. So you can actually see, although in the exercise, my bum seems to go backwards, in the actual swing, that doesn't happen. You've got to understand that when you're doing drills, you don't have all the forces in the golf swing working on your body at the same time. Here, I've only got the muscles of my lower body working, and they're going to have to provide forces away from the target so that I don't fly to the target when I turn my shoulders forward and swing the club out there. So I really want to have the feeling of this almost sitting back in the barrel, and when I then get into hitting forward, you can see that it actually carries me forward against the front foot. And the front foot is at the same time resisting that, giving me these yin and yang, these kind of opposing forces in the follow through. The whole idea of drilling is to build the synapses in your brain, get the muscles and the right fibers in the muscles to actually get speed in the rotation, and also build what the Germans call eine Wahrnehmung. That's basically the ability to perceive where you are in a movement. And it's really kind of a one word which describes being able to feel where you are in 3 dimensions. And if you can get that feeling, you want to be using that feeling then with the golf club and with the golf ball, so that your body is slowly starting to tell you when you're in the right position. This game is all about basically creating good habits and then using them on a golf course with a golf ball. And these good habits aren't always built on a golf course. You can build them at home in your free time. 30 repetitions a day, every day for the next 6 to 8 weeks, and suddenly you will own this movement. Hope you liked it. Hope you're going to do it. If you are, and you did, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed to us yet, please do so. I'll be back very shortly with the next video. Until then, bye-bye.